I'm going to interview a very young Ghanaian trade nurse who is now working in the UK. We are going to talk about his journey from Ghana to the UK, when he got here, how work is going, what he expected and what he experienced. Was it worth it? How much is he earning in the UK? Life in the UK generally as a nurse. So if you are interested in this interview, then stay tuned and watch to the end. Like, it has dawned on people to do the process, but it has become very more difficult than it was. So let's start from, how did you get to know first about this UK process and then starting it and all that?
Right, so before I begin, my name is Salom. I am a Kolebu trained nurse. I trained in the Nursing and Midwifery Training College, Kolebu.
Yeah.
I am a twin. So my brother and I first heard about the UK around, I really cannot remember the year, but it was when COVID hit, where I used to go online and search for how much nurses were making in the UK and then converting it into Ghana cedis. That was where my interest peaked, because I obviously noticed that nurses in Ghana were finding it hard, number one, with the salaries and even getting jobs. So that's where my interest in the UK peaked. Then reading into it, I heard about the IELTS, I heard about CBT, and then I finally heard about the OSCE. So I think that's where everything began. Other friends had also heard about it, but you know the thing about Africans and Ghanaians, it was low key. Some of us kept it to ourselves, but when one person opened up about it and then we started discussing it amongst ourselves.
So you got to know about the process. I mean, we'll not talk about the process because a lot of people know about that already.
Yeah.
So we know you have to write IELTS, you have to write CBT, and then when you get job and you finally move here, you do your OSCE and then you get your PIN to practice as a nurse in the UK.
Right.
How easy was it for you to pass the IELTS? Did you do any classes or you studied yourself?
So my brother and I were opportune to have a father who was really into his children learning English. We actually have standing feet in the English language, so we did not use any lecturer or tutor in the preparation for the IELTS, but we used the YouTube videos. We used a page on Telegram, Cambridge IELTS page, where we got more questions. So we used to self-practice, and that was where we started getting into the IELTS. To be fair, it was a bit scary. It was myself, my brother Sally, and Aisha. Aisha was the one who began the IELTS. She actually went to write it first. She took the bold step to writing it first, and then my brother and I followed suit. And by God's grace, we all passed.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Aisha, and I have to say this. I think I was told about this process, but it wasn't really a part of my plan.
Yeah.
Until Aisha posted Nanel's video in our class group.
Right.
I watched that video, understood the process. That was where my interest was piqued for this process. So it's not bad to shout out to Aisha. I think Aisha is the driver of this, because if she hadn't posted that video on our class page, I wouldn't have gotten the understanding I got for this whole process and sparking my interest for it. So I think she's done a good job by sharing that video on the platform. Yeah. So it means that you've studied by yourself and you passed the IELTS.
Yes.
And now after passing the IELTS, you did your verification with NMC of Ghana to the NMC of UK, and then you wrote your CBT. The CBT too, how did it go? You studied by yourself. Yes. And you passed. Okay.
But before we get to the CBT, this is what a lot of people face: the financial constraints. It wasn't as easy as that. So by then we were opportune to be working, and we actually had very good pays. So what happened was, by then the IELTS fee was about 2,000 cedis, but verification fee had its own coming. So it took us some time. Every month's salary was towards something. So let's say the first month's salary was towards IELTS, second month's salary was towards the 140 initial pounds, then another amount was for the verification fee and all that. So it is worth noting that, and we do understand, I'm sure Bright also would admit it, we do understand the financial constraints with it. So whoever is doing it, yes, we've all been through that financial constraint before. But to answer Bright's question, yes, I studied CBT by myself also.
So I think the good thing with the process is that you don't pay everything at once. Like the payments come by stages.
Yes.
So when you are doing a stage, you pay for that stage. So that is what actually helps. So if you are working and you're a salary worker and you earn something and you have this process you are doing, when you get to the IELTS stage, you pay. After passing IELTS, you wait and you do your £140. You gather money, you do your CBT. I mean, as the stages unfold.
Yes.
So I think that is one good thing about the process.
Yes.
Now, talking about the process, that is just the beginning. That's getting yourself verified. Then it comes to one of the difficult stages, which is the job search.
Yes.
How easy was it for you to search an offer?
I was opportune enough to have should I say a mentor. Shout out to Kofi Autry. He was the one who actually took me through the process. My very good friend Joycelyn introduced me to Kofi, and it was with him I got to know. So Kofi had already informed me about the financial constraints. And then Kofi told me, and this is one misconception I think a lot of people have. Yes, the IELTS is difficult. The financial constraints are there, but the job search is not easy. I have watched videos and I watch videos and I watch videos where people used to say, keep searching. When I was doing my process, it got to a point where I was a bit tired of it, and I felt some of my colleagues were being selfish until I actually got into it and until I got here. And I think till now, some of my colleagues will find even me selfish because they feel like I think
they're not giving them the opportunities.
Yes.
People think you have something to do for them to get jobs, but you're not doing it.
So
I get that a lot.
So there were stories that some people would go to their managers and go and recommend, oh, I have this friend, I have that friend. It is not, if there are people like that, that's fine. We thank God, hallelujah. But it is not as easy. I can, if Bright would allow, I can show you my email. Kofi used to send me a list. I used to send an average of 140 emails a day. And out of that 140, only 3 people would actually give me some sort of hope. The rest, it even got to a point where the messages were automated. They would speak about red list, they would speak about not sponsoring, they would speak about vacancy closing. Some of them will not even
So like you already know the kind of responses you'll get.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. I used to send an average of at least 140 emails, and all of them in
by day?
Yes, a day.
Then one of them was laziest job searches.
Because and some people actually have found it easy. Somebody like my brother found it much easier because by the time he was actually into it, I'd already been through the very hard stage. I'm not saying he found it easy, but I had already, as I said, an average. And this is advice I got from a YouTube channel. I think Nanel interviewed this one other colleague of hers, and he said at least you should send an average of 100 messages. I don't remember his name.
Is it Ohiniba or?
Yes, I think so.
Ohiniba or something.
Yes. He said you should send an he gave a certain number, and even it got to a point where that number had elapsed everything. It's not easy, and I'm sure this was the next question Bright would answer, but I'll just skip to it. Depression would come, and the depression comes after the frustration. I personally, it got to a point where I could not listen to secular music. I enjoy my Adele, I enjoy soft music, I enjoy my Burna Boys, I enjoy my hip hop, but it got to that point where I could not listen to secular music, and that's just me personally. Because gospel was what was keeping me. Because here I used to cry. It got to that point where the tears flowed. I told God, why? Because And this is a misconception of a lot of people. And I think people should, and I would really appreciate it if people stop spreading, or people stop making it look that way. They make you feel like right after IELTS and CBT
You are going.
you get a job.
doesn't
It
work
is
like
not that way. Look, you keep searching. And I told a few friends of mine that, look, any opportunity that can, because even my opportunity, the way my brother and I got to the UK, it was on a certain page which I had left, right? So a colleague screenshot it and sent it to my friend Joycelyn, and then Joycelyn sent it to me. And then, so even when it came, I'd already sent a lot. So to be fair, I was a bit reluctant. So we had this page where we used to send things like that. So one lady on that page alerted us and asked us all to actually send emails to the recruiter. And I sent an email, and then I told him we are twins and blah blah blah, and that is how I got here.
Yeah.
So it's by grace.
So how many months did it take you after CBT to get a job?
I think it was over 4 months.
4 months is easy.
Over 4
And
to
you were
5
crying. 4 months is short. It took me 7 months after CBT. So you received your offer letter in September and you left in January?
Yes, so what had happened was I was supposed to leave in December.
Okay.
So the visa process had already begun, but because we were twins, they had wanted my brother and I to come at the same time. Yes. So my brother's visa delayed a little bit.
Okay.
And that's it was moved to January, and then we came. I used to work in a clinic. I'm sure I cannot mention the clinic's name. But so when there were no patients, I used to sit at the back, right? And then you see me staring into space, calculating, praying, wishing. Because and then it became harder, and it becomes much harder when you meet annoying patients, because in your mind you feel like, I have the opportunity to live here, you are not paying me much, and then you are overusing me.
Right.
So I feel like probably that's where the depression may set in, because it got to a point where I was closed. I wasn't closed. Look, a little thing will trigger me. Look, little thing, not even my care boy.
I was sleeping one night, the radio was on, and then I think I woke up in the middle of the night because I was thinking about the thing again before getting to sleep. And then I woke up in the middle of the night around 12 a.m., 1 a.m. The radio was on. They were playing some choral music at that time. I think I started singing in my sleep and woke up to it. So when I woke up, I started singing along. And I felt very uplifted. And then I started praying. I started praying. I said, oh God, even if not because of me, for the sake of my mother, please let me get a job.
Yeah.
I did that, and then I think around 2 a.m. they stopped the administration, and then they started other programs, and I slept again. One thing is, when I realized that track job was a difficult thing for me, I stopped. I wasn't doing track jobs again. I did Indeed. I saw no. I received a few, unfortunately, whatever. I stopped Indeed. I was not doing Indeed again. So virtually, I stopped all those job sites because it was stressful for me. And then it was in my mind, I don't have to suffer. I know I'll get this job. So I relaxed. And then I went back. I was doing more of direct emails and WhatsApp. You meet people at work, a few people who know that you are doing this process. And then they'll be like, I don't tell people, but I only tell somebody when I realize that, okay, they can be of help. I started telling people when I was not getting job. That's when a lot of people got to know that I was doing this process. So, okay, these good people, I have a classmate, is working in the UK. I'll speak with them, then they'll send their telephone number to me. I have this person, then they'll send their telephone number to me. So, these people, they were sending me different numbers, and I will send, they'll blue tick me on WhatsApp. I will send, they'll blue tick me. Some I will send it to Mark, they will not read.
I think if Aisha and Sally would remember this, it got to this point where we were even considering coming in as workers, as carers, senior carers. We're even laughing about it one time, and that is and unfortunately that is what sometimes the desperation can actually lead people to do. they lead people into taking deals that are outrageous.
Exactly.
There are some deals that would charge you £8,000, when in actual sense, usually COS, OSCE, and all those amounts do not get to that
Yeah.
£8,000. Even I remember even Bright. I told Bright it got to a point where we were so desperate that I told Bright what Sally and I
We
had
started a
decided to do.
process of self-sponsorship.
So what Sally and I had, and we started it. It got to that point where I said, look, we cannot keep waiting. My brother and I had about $2,000 that was given to us by our patient. So that is what we pushed into. So we self-registered for our OSCE with the intention that we were coming to the UK, where we're going to, we have aunties here, but even for that it was impromptu. Look, after I got to the UK, I saw that if we had come, we would have suffered
A lot.
But
The hard truth that people don't.
we don't, and that is the hard. That's the hard truth. But so my brother and I self-registered for OSCE with the intention that OSCE, when you have your UK license, it's easier. It's much easier to get a job. But if we had come through that route, we would have failed. Because though the OSCE is just like regular practicals, it has its own rules and it has its own procedures, sort of. That makes it a little bit, I wouldn't say challenging, but it makes it a little bit different from others. But that is it. The process can be difficult.
It can be very daunting. It's financially tasking. So you finally got job and your visa process went through and you got here. Now getting here, I know when you get here you start as a senior carer and then you do your OSCE. How easy was it for you to pass the OSCE?
Unfortunately, I had to rewrite my OSCE, so I had a first try. A first rewrite. So though it wasn't really difficult, the good thing about the UK OSCE is when you fail, wherever you failed, you are given the opportunity to write on that same part. They don't change the questions or anything, so it wasn't so difficult.
The work is very diverse. How easy was it for you to get along with the work, pick up? Did you find any challenges? Did they pick on you and all that?
I would say with my care home, when I initially started, it was quite okay. They were welcoming. Everybody was available to help. I didn't really have any issues. It was just a few of their rules that was a bit new to me. So that was where the challenge was, but not really. But unfortunately, in every house there's a Mensa, so there are one or two people who once a while, step on your toes, but it's not something that, especially when I began, it was actually better. It's now that for some reason these Mensas prefer to step on toes.
Let's talk about the money. Yes, it's very important. I know people who want to come, a lot of people are coming because they think, the money will be able to help them achieve something back home. So if you are coming, you don't have any expectations of what you'll be earning, then there is no point. So working, we both work in a care home. So averagely, how much can you expect as a care home nurse? A newly employed care home nurse.
So the good thing about the care home is there's some sort of equality there. So everybody, if you're a nurse, everybody takes the same amount, unless there are certain care homes who give some nurses more than the rest. But from where I am, it's average. We all the nurses, as far as I'm concerned, all the nurses take the same amount. The UK runs on tax, so I'm going to give an average based on non-taxable, and then you can do your own calculations after my tax is taken. So averagely, I make after tax, before tax, I make an average of 3,000 to 3,500 pounds. Sometimes when I do overtime, I can hit as much as 4,000 pounds.
Wow. A rich boy.
Calm down. That's before the tax man comes in. After the tax man comes in, trust me, it takes a chunk. So I'm not a rich man. We are all surviving in the UK.
I see. So
He's surviving.
yes, I'm sorry, but you are taking a lot of money than I do.
You think?
Yes.
And I said that is before tax. And that is before tax. Let me repeat. That is before tax.
Yeah.
After tax, my money reduces. You might get a few care homes who pay £17 an hour, £17.50 an hour, to as high as 20 to 22 pounds an hour. I fall between the bracket of 17 to 20.
Moving on, you've told us about how much you earn before tax. Now let's talk about how much do you spend as a single person living in the UK.
So I cannot really give you an exact answer because I'm privileged not to be one person.
Okay.
I came out of my mother's womb as a twin. So my brother and I share the rent. We usually do our monthly shopping, and we share the lights bill and then the water bill and all that. But if I want to say averagely, my current rent is about £750
For the two of you?
for the two of us.
Okay.
And that's a 2-bedroom self-contained apartment. Averagely, our electricity and gas goes £150 to £200. During the winter, it can go as high as £250, but during summer, it's usually below £100. Because we prefer using the electrical heater because the gas heater is really expensive. The gas is expensive in the UK. When we got here initially, our monthly spend for groceries was less than £100. But because of inflation in the UK right now, we go around £200. So that's for groceries. We don't have cars at the moment, so travel to work is sometimes 200. That's bus tickets inclusive. So I'd say if it was a singular person, when I do my actual calculations, I think I spend about £1,000 on taxes and other personal stuff.
Okay, that's good. I think I spend like around 1,200. I pay 425 for my rent. I pay my transportation is always around £100 for the month. I buy groceries around £100 to £200 and it can last me like 2 months.
2 months, okay.
My Wi-Fi is like £32, but I share with my flatmate, so I pay half of that,
Right.
like around £16.
Electricity.
Electricity, yes, that's where the problem is. Electricity
and
gas, very expensive. When I moved into this apartment, we're being deducted £111 every month flat rate before the bills come and they deduct whatever the bill is. And then when we go to the winter, they increased it to 132. But they are now telling me stories that the 132 wasn't enough for the bill. So now they have given me some absurd bills that I am fighting with the company right now to come and do something about it, because I'm not going to pay that amount.
To be fair, in the winter, bills went up.
Yeah, it
in
did.
The winter, we're paying bills as much as £300, £300 a month. Where, as I said, in summer, our bill was lower than 100, 95, 75 thereabout. So,
right. So basically, I spend as a single person. I don't have wife. I don't have girlfriend. I live all by myself. Maybe I have about £100 saved for family and friends. I mean, that is in my budget. But I am somebody who tracks my expenditure. So I have noticed that I am always spending above the £100 budget for friends and family. I'm always spending above that. So if I calculate all those things inclusive, I spend like £1,200 a month on bills and other stuff. I am not a shopper. I'm not big on shopping and those things. I don't buy clothes that much. Once in a while, now buy. Yeah. So when it comes to expenditure, so if you are working here and you are earning, like, say you are working in the care home where you can earn averagely £2,000 to £2,002 in a month after tax, and you're spending like £1,002 on expenditure, then you can have £1,000 to do something, to save and to do other things. So if you are able to manage that, you'll be good. Yeah. So basically that is the expenditure. So if you are coming, those are the expectations. But bear in mind, when you are working in the NHS, they earn lesser than this. So it means you get lesser than that. Because if you are in the care home, you don't do overtime, you don't do anything, and your hourly rate is between 17 and £20, then at the end of the month you'll be getting between £1,008 and £2,002. So if you are working in the NHS, where some people even earn as low as £14 an hour, then expect that you'll get lesser than the figures we have given so far. So you should know about these things when you are considering coming to the UK. Now, one major thing right now is the red list for most of African countries, especially Ghana and Nigeria. And I am from Ghana. We both are from Ghana. So let's talk more about Ghana. Right now in Ghana, IELTS is costing like 3,600 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
And as some weeks ago, NMC and Parliament decided to increase verification fee to 3,000 cedis, which is currently on hold. That fee has been put on hold until further notice.
Yeah.
Let's assume it has been increased to 3,000 cedis and you are supposed to pay that for your verification. £140 for NMC initial assessment. Now a pound is around 16 cedis, 70 pesos. So that money is almost like 3,000 cedis. So for you to do your NMC verification, IELTS, and NMC initial assessment, looking at 10,000 Ghana cedis. That is what you spend before you move to CBT and other processes.
Yes.
So looking at this expenditure, and then people finish, they have their IELTS, they have CBT. People write IELTS as much as 5 times, and all takes money.
Yes.
So doing all these things and you finish and you don't get a job. And even if I don't know, I know 2 people whose IELTS has expired. Sadly. So thinking about all these things, sometimes I'm tempted to tell people that they should look elsewhere rather than the UK. What do you think?
Personally, I believe, and I think I told most of my friends this, and that was one reason why right after school my brother and I thank Aisha, my brother and I quickly started the process, was because I felt like, I think it's a general principle where there's nothing limitless. Everything to an extent has a limit, right? If by then the news was going around that UK was needing carers, but it wasn't going to stay forever. And that was what a lot of people, because a lot of people procrastinated it. Some people complain about money, as I have said, from the frustration to the financial constraint and all that. But comparing the UK to Ghana, I would say, because what I went through, and even with Bright himself, it was faith. It was works. It was prayers. Don't give up. That's what I would say. Don't get me wrong, and don't quote me and say Salom said don't give up. But I've mentioned other things, because even me myself, I got to that point where I was actually losing faith. and gospels were the only thing that actually gave me the strength to rise in the morning. It wasn't easy, and it is not easy. Anybody who tells you it is easy, the person is lying. Unless you have some link somewhere. If that's, bless God. But it's hard. Let no one lie to you that the main thing is just the IELTS and the CBT and OSCE. No. Even let's put OSCE aside. IELTS and CBT. No. The job search is the most difficult. The most, I cannot stress on it enough.
So, per what you have said, people who are yet to start the process, do you think they should do it? Looking at the fact that you finish writing and you don't get a job. Because as we speak right now, I know about 5 people personally who have IELTS and CBT ready. No job. 2 people's IELTS are expiring in the next few months. People who are now trying to start, it is now dawning on them to do this process. Should they start at all, or they should look elsewhere?
This will be my personal suggestion. I wouldn't say advice, but this will be my personal suggestion. Look into it. If there are other avenues, explore that. But before you do anything, because even myself, before we actually took on the UK, we did our research. So whether it worked or not, I couldn't blame anybody but myself and God. So if right now we are hearing Canada is opening their borders, we are hearing US still is taking people, but their process takes longer. So if I'm hearing New Zealand, I'm hearing there are some opportunities in Ireland and all that, that's fine. But you need to do your research before you take one step. And I would also suggest that before you start the IELTS or before you start, make sure that you know what you are getting yourself into. And I believe that is why some of these videos are necessary. So actually let people, I would not discourage anybody, because look, my life in the UK is much better than that of than that of when I was in Ghana. Yes, I do get stressed here. I have lost weight here, but I've lost weight because of my own doing. I'm lazy. I can't cook. That is my personal struggle. And I like money, so I do overtime. Tax man takes, but at least the extra £100 can buy me 1 bucket of KFC. When in Ghana, I couldn't buy 1 bucket of KFC. So I would not discourage anybody from coming, because the life here is manageable. If you are able to save, and if you are not expensive, you can live a good life here. But it takes a lot getting here. Let no man lie to you. Let no social worker or let no agent lie to you. When I got to the UK, I was in the bus, and then I heard a conversation between 2 guys. They didn't know I was Ghanaian. They were speaking Tree. And looks like they've been duped. The guy was literally with his bag, and the only thing I saw him eating through the whole bus ride were biscuits. You could see from his hair that he hadn't had his bath. He said when he was coming to the UK, he was promised he would have his own room and all that. He paid and paid and paid. And right now he's asking, he said the point blank, I cannot speak Tree, but I do understand it. Or say, Seminya, make coffee. If you had the chance, you would go home. Let no one lie to you. If they say you should pay £8,000, OSCE is 700 and something pounds, £795. Sit your ass down. Read. If they are OSCE, that £8,000 you go and pay to somebody who will now go and do kululu and make you a carer. That £8,000, put £3,000 aside. For that £5,000, put £700, £1,000 aside for OSCE, whatever. OSCE fee.
But even if you have £8,000 in Ghana,
what
you could establish yourself. But you see, the thing is, because
some people look at longevity.
Yeah, longevity, but it's like establishing yourself is also a foundation for longevity.
It's a foundation.
Well,
it's a foundation for longevity. But sorry for cutting you, but if I start a business in Ghana, and conversion rate is maybe, when I started a business, conversion rate is £1 is to 8 cedis. And then my business is ongoing. And right now, £1 is 60 cedis. The profit I'm expecting, I would not get it. Don't get me wrong. People are living in Ghana and are making it good. Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
No, see, where the challenges come is, where it becomes very difficult is people don't have these £8,000. They sell valuable properties.
Exactly.
They sell their lands, their houses, family properties to do this process, hoping that when they get here, they'll be able to make some money to pay those loans back. But the sad truth is that any UK deal that you have to pay for, when you get here, there's no job attached to it. That's it. Everybody I've heard a story from, they got here and there was no job. So they have to be juggling themselves about, struggle for months, if not years, to get a new job. If you get this new job, you pay bills, you have to care for yourself, you have to send money back home. How much are you earning? And until when will you be able to gather enough money to pay those bills back home and then start making life for yourself? I've been here for almost a year now. I can tell you for a fact, even a single person, I don't have £10,000 there sitting. I don't have £10,000. So if you go and borrow £10,000 and you think that you come and work and pay back in a year, who lied to you? Who lied to you? I am even a nurse, and most of these people who are requesting £8,000 are carers who are earning £10 and coins.
Look,
£11. People who earn more earn like £12 and coins.
I remember a conversation happened on my class page one time, and then I was sharing the story of this gentleman whom I was listening to on the bus, and one friend mentioned, after I was done saying all that, and then she's like, okay, you've told us the bad things about the UK, now tell us the good things. The good things, it's good.
The good things.
I wouldn't lie. Before I came to the UK, I've never used a proper phone. But I got to the UK, I used to say, I keep saying, I don't like iPhones. My friends used to say it's because I don't have money. When I got money, I still didn't buy an iPhone. I got here last year. When I got here, the Samsung S23 Ultra was on. I bought it. If you convert what I used, if my mother hears what I bought, how much I bought the phone, she might have a heart attack. So I won't say it in case she sees this video. But that's what I'm saying. The UK life is good, but you should be careful. Yeah. Otherwise, you will come and you'll be miserable. If you have £8,000, get 3,000. Sorry, put the £3,000 aside. Use £1,000 to try and register for OSCE. That second £1,000 you can use it to get a tutor. Don't pay anybody £8,000 to come to the UK as a carer. Do not do that mistake. Do not do that mistake. Let anybody take me on. Do not do that mistake to pay £8,000, £5,000 as a carer. Why? How much do carers make? Right now, minimum wage is what? £11. Carers, the highest I've heard a carer make is what? 13. And that is agency. 13. The highest is 15. And that 15 comes once a while. Once in a blue moon. How many hours would you want to work? And trust me, in care homes, it's stressful.
Very stressful.
Let no man lie to you, because there's always staff shortages. They have the machines, don't get me wrong, UK has the machines, but there's always staff shortages.
But you need human to operate these machines.
Do not pay £8,000 anybody who promises you a job as a carer in the UK.
Yeah.
Do not pay that. And right now, the UK has become more strict. They are checking visas. They are making sure everything is going. I was watching a documentary, and right now, it's usually Nigerians who have worked, who are big people in Nigeria. They sell a lot of properties, and when they come, they go to shelters to eat. They go to home bargains. They go to
food banks
to eat. People who used to drive good cars. If you hear the stories of some people, please, because I know that this £8,000, it takes people's kidneys. It takes people's sweat and blood. Don't pay £8,000 to anybody who is telling you come to the UK as a carer.
And see, the sad thing is that This why sometimes when I see most of these people, when I say these people, I mean the British and these Europeans look down on Africans and trying to undermine us and all that. I see it and I say, you see, it is not about we not being knowledgeable. It is because you are not exposed enough. Because come to think of it, all these Africans or black people who come to the UK to work as carers, as cleaners, and what all the works, the menial works you can think about. If not a bachelor's, master's, some even hold PhDs.
Yes.
But because they cannot get jobs to, that level of their education, they succumb to these care jobs just to sustain them. And then you see, excuse me to say, a certain dropout who is working as a carer try to speak to them anyhow because they are working in the same field.
Look,
they don't respect us. They think, yes, we don't blame them.
Even some of the few people I know, even to get to the UK, the money they spend, these carers and things do not have even half of that amount.
Some people have big businesses that are doing well back home, but because of misinformation, people tell them all kind of lucrative things. See, mind you, some of these agencies, they are just hungry for your money. They want quick money to go and build mansions back home. And you are selling what you have back home to come and give money to them for nothing. Then they go back to build something at home. That is the irony. That is the funny thing that is going on. So before you take on any of these endeavors, before you start any of these journeys, make sure you know what exactly you are getting yourself into. I know there are uncountable times people have said this about carers paying money and coming, but see, I can understand when you are in Ghana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Tanzania, wherever, and they tell you the truth, you will never accept it until you get here. You only experience it to know how truthful people who were here were to you, or how annexed they were with you, giving you those valuable information. You only get here to understand. So if you still want to come, that one is a decision for you to make. But we have given you the information so that you can think about it, do your own research, and know what to do. Now, let's talk about, I know you are not married, right? You are a single person, but you have a girlfriend.
Yes, I have a girlfriend.
But your girlfriend is not with you here.
My girlfriend is not.
So how are you coping?
It's hard. And it's cold. And Scotland is wet. Every day, at least every day it rains. At least 6 times in a week it rains. So it's hard. I have my blanket and I have my Bible.
Hey, you want to be emoji or Joe Metal?
But it is hard. Especially with my girlfriend being far away from me. Sometimes the phone is not as reliable. There are sometimes where you get into small issues at work. Sometimes you have that strong feeling of loneliness. And I have been fortunate to have my brother with me. Though my brother and I are not so close, and we are not so mushy.
What do you mean you are not so close?
So what I mean is, I'm not mushy, or I'm not so, how should I put this?
You people don't talk.
No, we talk, but we are not that kind of emotional twin brothers where I'm lonely, so my brother come and sleep in my bed. No, you are not allowed to. No matter how you are not allowed to. That is the relationship my brother and I have. So it can be hard. And my brother also, his girlfriend is also, his fiancé now is also not here. Congratulations to him.
Okay, so it has upgraded from girlfriend to fiancé.
That's my brother.
That's impressive.
So God willing, my girlfriend will join me soon and then.
So for people like me who do not have girlfriend, how easy will it be to find a girlfriend here?
I think you need to go out first.
Ha.
You need to step out. I feel like these Scottish some of these countries are actually really lonely people, and they're actually really.
Well, I'm not talking about white people. Okay,
We're not
well,
talking about
both
whites
white and
and blacks.
yeah.
But you need to step out first. I think that's the first step. Bright is someone who doesn't step out, so obviously. But you need to step out first. When you step out, then you have the opportunity to meet people. You cannot be in.
Don't worry, I'm going to London next week.
Or some people also advise dating apps. I don't know how. Of course, the dating apps you meet weirdos. But some people also advise dating apps, so you can also consider that.
Well, I see. We will see. Maybe I'll go to Ghana and go and get somebody and bring. Final words. What haven't we talked about? If you want to know about something that we haven't spoken about, feel free to put in the comment section, so we'll answer for you. There is a new temporary visa thing in Dubai. That's Dubai can give you, I think, 3-month temporary visa to move to Dubai. You work. So, for instance, if you are a nurse, you move to Dubai on temporary visa. Then, whilst you do your documentations as a nurse, you will be working. Then, when you get your documentation, they give you a permanent work visa to stay and work. I think this new Dubai route can be a good starting point if you are really concerned about doing your IELTS, your CBT, and all those things, and you won't get a job. Then you should look into this Dubai route if you haven't yet invested so much into the IELTS thing. I mean, to the UK process or whatever process you want to do. You can look into that and then move to Dubai. At least that one will be giving you some sort of income. Then you can look into moving to other places.
My personal suggestion, I wouldn't call it an advice, but my personal suggestion is, I will tell you what I do. I take into consideration everybody's preferences. So I'm going to say my preference. My first thing is taking God serious. So with whatever I do, I lay it before God, because Bible says He's the author and finisher of everything. So I bring it before God. And next, I research, because you need to ask questions. You do not need to be a lazy researcher. Do not follow desperation and get yourself in a ditch. So with Dubai, with UK, with US, with Canada, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere, Ireland, everywhere, you need to do research. As much as possible, ask questions. Type reviews on whatever. Please research. Do not just go to move to a country on a whim, because you will go and then you might actually regret.
Yeah, regret it.
Next, please make sure that you are not a lazy person. As much as you want, you should. Nothing comes cheap. You need to sacrifice. So financial constraints, whether it's Dubai or Ghana, and be smart. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Thank you so much, Selom. I think it's been a very good conversation. This one is more like a friendly conversation. Our experiences and what we've gone through so far in the UK. So I think even though there are challenges, looking at where we are coming from, it is worth it. I mean, we know where we want to go, and we think this is a step to help us, move to the next step where we will achieve the greater things we want to achieve. So no matter what challenges come our way, we don't look at the challenges now. Our eyes are fixed on our North Pole.
Exactly.
If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, do well to subscribe. And anything at all you want to ask, feel free to put in the comment section. If you are living in the UK, US, Dubai, Canada, or everywhere you are living, and you have a contribution to make, please feel free to put it in the comment section so we can educate ourselves, stay informed, and always chase those opportunities. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found any value at all, please like this video and share to your friends. Thank you once again. The name is The Business.